Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and I am doing my April 2021 budget wrap up today, and it was a crazy month for us. So April had kind of our highest income month ever, mostly because we got our stimulus check, but then we also had more expenses than ever because we just moved. So I will start with our income. I do not share these first four sources of income, mostly for my husband's privacy, but I do share this miscellaneous line item, which I have just been budgeting for rental income that we were receiving from the people who were renting our house. And this is the last month that we were getting that income. And actually, they moved out in March. So long story short, we bought a house in September. We couldn't move in yet because our lease wasn't up, so we rented it out for 6 months, and they started paying us in September, but our first mortgage payment wasn't until November. So I kind of held those payments. So I didn't start saying that we were getting that rental income until November when we were actually paying on the mortgage. That way we have this extra income like 2 months after they stopped giving it to us in the budget. And that came in handy for the cost of our renovations this month. But our total miscellaneous line item was $4,104.29. Oh, already having to use whiteout. Always. I don't know if I'm a little bit dyslexic, but I always say what I'm not writing. But this was that $1,300 from the renters and our stimulus check, which was $2,800, and then like $4 of bank interest. So none of that will be in our income moving forward. Like I said, it was a crazy high income month for us. We had in total $12,808 and exactly 0 cents. Love when that works out. But if you've never seen one of my videos, that's way higher. Our typical income, actually, we've had this rental income for the past 6 months, but without it, our like actual earned income is usually around $6,000 from both of us contributing with full-time jobs. So that, I wish it looked like that, but it was a great month. So moving into our bills, I always do our tithe first, which isn't really a bill, but it is the most important thing in our budget. So our tithe this month was $1,237.24. And our mortgage is always $1,200 even. It's actually $1,161 something, but I just rounded up to the next 100 for an even number. My phone bill is $44 even. Our Wi-Fi is $69.81, and I am very unhappy with this Wi-Fi. It's supposed to be like really high speed and really great, and it is in fact terrible. And I don't know if it's just because like the placement of where I am in the house, like across the house as far as I can be from the router, but it's a really small house, so I don't feel like that should be a problem, and it's irritating. I don't know if we should switch or what to do about that. Our electricity bill was $93.82, and I knew what that was going to be before I made this budget. Our car insurance is always $153.93. Jared's health insurance is $160.37. Water, sewer, trash. This one, I guess I wrote 94 and I was confusing it with this because it was actually $49.11. So maybe when I was writing it, I was just confused about the 4 and the 9 placement, but that was a good amount. And this was low, I think, because we weren't actually, like, this was the bill for March, and no one was living in the house really in March. And then natural gas, we actually didn't have a bill due for natural gas. We had a credit on our account, and again, no one was living there, so the bill was really low, and the credit covered it. And then this was also great. I thought that we would have Wi-Fi and electricity from our old apartment, like as payments kind of a month behind because we moved out in March, but we didn't actually have that. So that was 0. And this is the last month of kind of this really long bill section. Now we can shorten it now that we don't have bills for a house and an apartment. So our total in this category was $3,008.28. So higher than we budgeted, but that's all just from our tithe and not from any actual bills, which is great. And then moving on to our just regular expenses, this is where it gets, crazy. So for groceries and household, I budgeted $450 because I thought that we would be spending a lot on groceries, considering that we were moving and like we wouldn't have time to go to Aldi, which is further away but way cheaper than what's next to us, which is like a Brookshire's, and then drive 10 minutes and you can go to Kroger. But we actually didn't end up buying a whole lot of groceries, and you'll see why in the next line. But groceries was $354.67. So we did spend more than our eating out allotment. And I find that that always happens. Like if you spend less in groceries, it's because you ate out more, or vice versa. But we spent $243.19 in eating out costs. And this also included, so we moved on April 10th, I think. So it was pretty like late into the month, and we had some friends help us. And we all got a pizza. So that was more like than we would just pay for eating out for just us. And then gas, we only actually spent $40.73, and this is because we it's kind of, sometimes the timing just doesn't work out. Like it's now the beginning of May, and I just filled up gas, and we just put gas in Jared's car too. So it's like if one of us had done gas like a week earlier, it would have been enough. Or it would have made it more even, because now like May's gas is probably going to be over budget, but that's okay. Jared's allowance, he spent $88.92. He bought new shoes and I think some books. He always just gets the same pair of shoes. He just buys it year after year, which I think is so funny because he owns like one pair of shoes and then some nice shoes, whereas like I have so many pairs. And then I spent $100, and it's even because I like bought some things for the house, which like is in our house category down there, but any like extra money that I had in my allowance, I just counted some of the stuff for the house as if like it were in my allowance, so that this number wouldn't be drastically high, which it still is, but I just wanted it to be a little bit less. And then for subscriptions, we only spent $29.77. I don't know, some of our subscriptions are like an every other month thing, and so I don't actually know what it's going to be. And I started moving. I had some subscriptions for my business, which I don't have a line item in here, but I will add one for like an email account and stuff like that. But I'm actually considering that its whole own category now, because I have my first paying client, so I want to kind of keep it all separate. But so I had not budgeted any for that, but I'll add that. But that's really exciting. So I moved some stuff that I was counting as a subscription down to this line permanently, so it should be less than it used to be. And then gifts, we had budgeted $50. We actually spent $120.45, and this is due to a gift that we were planning on buying in June, but like a really expensive gift, but I found a really good deal this month. So we just went ahead and purchased it, and so that's what the extra was. And then we had also, I think, one birthday? Yeah, my brother's birthday was this month, so that is that cost. And then miscellaneous, I did the same thing here as I did with my allowance. I just totaled it out at 100, taking a little bit to make this category less. And then moving in house. So when I made this category, I made it to encompass like moving, like renting a U-Haul, obviously, and like that kind of stuff. But then anything we had to buy for the house, which included things like new furniture, but also any renovations that we're doing. So I decided that I wanted to split out like house purchases versus like renovations, because one, is adding value to our property, and one is just making it look nice for us and not really adding value. So I'm actually going to make this a separate line item. And in that, I'm going to actually change this from 800 because I was kind of thinking in my head when I made it that 300 would be for that category and 500 would be for that part. So that's kind of a more accurate representation. And then let me tell you what we spent, because it was not that. So for moving in house, the moving was actually really cheap. I think the U-Haul was like $50. But we used part of our stimulus money to buy a new couch, which we really wanted. And our old couch, which now actually lives in my new office, what is really small and just not suitable for any more than 2 people. And we really want our new house to be kind of a great space for people to come and hang out and have community. And it is a really small home. So we knew that kind of one couch would be as much as we could fit in there. So we wanted to kind of maximize that space with the biggest piece of furniture we could fit in. So the couch that we bought ended up being like $1,100. But we used our stimulus money for that. So I have it written as an expense here, but it's not like we just had kind of an unplanned expense. We did have a lot more money spent than we had thought we would. So we spent $22.79.88, which is a lot of money. And most, or half of that was the couch. Then we also bought a new rug and bought a lot of storage and organization things since the house is so small. We, like I said, really have to optimize this space. So I think I went a little crazy buying that kind of stuff, mostly because I've never, like this is the first time in my life that I've been at a place where I actually had money to spend on things that I wanted. So for a really long time, it's been, I really want this, but I can't afford it. I really want it, but I can't get it. And this is the first time, you know, I am an adult. So and like my husband is also an adult and we're starting to make more money. So it's kind of a little bit like of the mindset, I don't know, that I've never had this kind of stuff before, so I want to get it. And so then I feel like I went a little crazy. But I am going to try to rein it in. We also spent so much because my husband got a bonus for a project that he was doing, which provided a substantial amount of like extra income. So we kind of justified some of our spending in these categories based on that. So that was how much we spent on moving in house. And then renovations, we spent $1,078.17. And what I had planned to do this month for renovations was to buy stuff to make a kitchen island, which we did. And then some little things, like really little, like buying a can of paint to repaint our front door. But what got us here is that I was buying butcher block to make the countertop for the island, which isn't super expensive. It's actually a very affordable countertop option that still looks good. But it was pretty reasonably priced, and we didn't know if the price would go up or if the exact item we were buying wouldn't be available anymore. And we wanted to make sure, we wanted to like replace our countertops in our for the rest of our kitchen too, to match. And we wanted to make sure that we got the exact same thing so that it would feel like the island we're building, you know, was meant to be there and is part of the kitchen. So we just went ahead and purchased it all, and all the countertops were, I think, $817. So that was most of this, and the rest was like the cabinet that we bought to make the countertop. And it actually, to make the island, not make the countertops. The countertops aren't in yet, which is a real bummer. We're still waiting on them, but we did pay for them. But the island sans countertops actually looks really good. I'm so excited for it. And for, you know, we bought like a $120 cabinet from Lowe's and then put some beadboard on it and corbels and framed it out and then painted it. And I think for that price, it's really an amazing piece and I'm really happy with it. But anyway, so those categories were definitely way higher than planned, but we had the money from, like I said, the stimulus check and a bonus. So I didn't really feel bad about that spending. I definitely will need to reel it in for the future though. And then, like I said, with this category, I hadn't planned or I hadn't put money in it, but I did spend $31.84, and that was, you know, my monthly email. And then I just set up like a calendar subscription so that people can make scheduling with me. And also I bought my DBA this month because I had my first deposit, so I needed to open a bank account. So I think what I'm going to do here is once I start having enough clients to, you know, actually cover my expenses, I will not make any of these expenses out of my personal account. Right now, I'm making sure to write them all down, and I will count them as business expenses, but I don't want to use my money from my deposit yet, because like the event that I'm coordinating isn't until June, and just in case anything happens, I don't want to use that money until the event is over and I know that there's no reason I would have to return it. And so then I will start kind of reimbursing ourselves for all the money that we've spent. Although for the very first wedding, I think I'm going to keep it all in there, maybe pay myself like $100 or $200 to kind of you know, have a moment, because it's really exciting having your first client, but I want to have enough in there to kind of fund future expenses for the rest of the year. So that's kind of what my thought process there. So our total for actual expenses, ooh, this one's a doozy, is $4,775.62. I have never spent that I have spent that much in that category before. But hopefully we won't again. We just had, mostly I feel like it was the $1,100 couch that got us and the $800 countertops, but they were things that we had planned to buy and we had the money this month, so it worked out. And then moving to the savings category of our budget, we fund our emergency fund. It currently has, I think, $5,400, but we're just like adding $100 each month, just to kind of be actively working on that. It's not something that is my main goal because my main goal is paying off my debt right now. But just considering that Jared is self-employed, and anything could happen, we want to be cognizant of that and add a little bit right now while we know we have income coming in. So we put $100 towards that, and then debt holding. So right now, with the student loans kind of being in forbearance, I stopped making the actual payments and I started just adding money to a special savings account for debt repayment, just because, you know, it's doing more good in my bank account than it is in the government's while I wait until September when the forbearance ends, and then I will pay it, or if they forgive it, then I will have $10,000, which would be great, but I'm completely planning on paying for the loans that I took out. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, and I had planned on sending $1,445 to that category this month, which I was writing it like in the debt section, but I wasn't actually putting it towards there, so I stopped doing that because that didn't really make sense. But so I planned on $1,445, and I actually put $3,502.10, which officially brought my like loan balance, just accounting for how much money I have in my savings account for that, under $10,000, which was really exciting. It's now, I think, around $7,000 or $8,000. So we're getting there. It's taking a little longer than I'd planned, with some unexpected vacations and house expenses, but I'm getting there. And then home maintenance reno. I didn't put anything towards this month because obviously we spent so much on renovations up here, but my plan is just like when we're done with all our little renovations that we put $180 every month aside for home maintenance. But I actually had a separate category in April, and I don't have enough lines in my savings, so I'm going to add this one. I'm calling it May Holding, and we had a really good month in April, but we didn't know how May would look because we are going out of town, and the architect that Jared works for is also going to be out of town for the entire month of May, so we didn't know how much work he'd be getting. He is like a draftsman for an architect for one of his sources of income. So I wanted to set aside $1,000 from our really good month for that in case we need it, because I don't want to come up short in May. And then investments, we planned for 100, I actually put 110. This is just most of it is going towards my Roth IRA, and then a little bit is going towards just like some individual stocks that Jared has picked. And this is also not a priority right now until we pay off debt, and then we will bring it up to like a 15% contribution. And then travel. Oh, I totally forgot to write up here that we did spend some money on travel. If you were looking at this math and thinking that doesn't make sense, that's why. I had planned to save $350 this month for a future expense for some travel that we have coming up in June, but I actually had to go ahead and just spend it now, so I did that. It's no problem. But I actually spent $308, and that is on, we spent $212 on our portion of an Airbnb that our community group for church is taking in. We're taking a little trip in June, so we're renting an Airbnb, and it should be really fun. And then the other portion of this, we are going on a trip. It was supposed to be the end of May, but we actually are going out a week earlier to go visit Jared's parents, who are currently renovating this little cabin in a different state. So we are going to visit them and stay at their little cabin with them. So when we decided that we were going to go out a week earlier, I had to change our flights, which we had a flight credit to cover them, but you can't use the flight credit to do the flight change fee. So that was $100. So that's how much we spent in travel. So we actually only were able to like put into the sinking fund $42. And I just switched this month. All of these starred items were cash envelopes, but this month I switched them to a bank account. When I was at the bank opening my business bank account, I added a sinking funds bank account, which makes it so much easier because now I can transfer exact amounts instead of like having to round to the nearest 10, which is what I was doing. So for gifts, because we bought that additional gift early, we did not save any. Christmas, we saved just $20. Health sinking fund, we always put $100 in, and we had no expenses this month. And then the last one is auto, and we put $150 because this is how much I had wanted to do. But since we were doing cash, we could only do it in increments of 20. But now that we're cashless, I can do more, which is good because our cars are a little bit older. So the total amount that we saved this month was $5,024.10, which is almost half of what we brought in. So I feel really good about that. So I actually make this budget sheet. So I just base it off of like the monthly stickers from Plum Paper, and I include this little category. I started including it because at the back of my planner, let me see if I can find it, they have like the same category, and I wanted to be able to easily write it in from what's in here. So this month we had $12,808 in, $546.66 out, $1,237.24 to giving, and $502.410 to savings. So 0, yes. And that is a zero-based budget. So I am looking forward to May and what's going to happen in May. We have some exciting things planned, a lot of events and some travel, like I said. But let me know how your April went, what you spent your second stimulus check on if you got one, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.